Hello, Rebels, and welcome back for another week of Mason's Station on Rebel Radio 92.1. This is DJ CNO. Each week I'll be bringing you the essential tracks across genres in the history of American music, as well as the can't miss, Ole Miss news and info. Last week I brought you the sounds of the American heartland with the likes of Mellencamp and Springsteen. This week I'm going to focus on singer-songwriters. Singer-songwriters is a movement within rock and pop music that encompasses solo artists who write their own music and usually perform without a set backing band. There is a heavier focus on the artistry of the music, meaning that these artists are often lauded for their songwriting abilities. The music is often acoustic as opposed to electric or even piano-driven, sometimes with country influences. I'll be playing artists and songs that span the decades. I'll segue from last week's show by starting with an artist we heard from then, an artist who is a singer-songwriter who happens to have heavy heartland rock influences. However, he is often hailed as one of the best songwriters of the 20th century, and that qualifies him to appear this week. In early 1976, Jackson Browne's wife, European model Phyllis Major, committed suicide. He would then record one of the most poignant albums of all time. With the help of producer John Landau, who also worked extensively with Bruce Springsteen and helped to create Born to Run a year prior, Browne finished the album in November 1976. It was nominated for a Grammy in 1978 and was also featured on Rolling Stone's list of the greatest albums ever. The track I'm going to play for you is the closing song from that album, the title track. Clocking in at just under 6 minutes, it encompasses everything the album is trying to say. In it, Browne creates a man destroyed by the shadow of his own dreams, just going through the motions of life. It continued Browne's string of songs to appear on movie soundtracks. After Late for the Sky appeared in 1978's Taxi Driver, he wrote his biggest hit, Somebody's Baby, for 1982's Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and the song we heard last week, Running on Empty, was in 1994's Forrest Gump. Here's The Pretender, which was featured in 1995's Mr. Holland's Opus, starring Richard Dreyfuss.
I'm gonna rid myself a house in the shade of the freeway. Gonna pack my lunch in the morning and go to work each day. And when the evening rolls around, I go on home and lay my body down. And when the morning light comes streaming in, I'll get up and do it again. Amen. Say it again. Amen. I wanna know what became of the changes we waited for love to bring. Were they only the fitful dreams of some greater awakening? I've been aware of the time going by. They say in the end it's the wink of an eye. And when the morning light comes streaming in, you'll get up and do it again. Amen. Caught between the longing for love and the struggle for the legal tender, where the sirens sing and the church bells ring and the drunk man pounds his fender, where the veterans dream of the fight, fast asleep at the traffic light, and the children solemnly wait for the ice cream vendor. Out into the cool of the evening strolls the pretender. He knows that all his hopes and dreams begin and end there. myself a girl who can show me what laughter means, and we'll fill in the missing colors in each other's paint by number dreams. And we'll put our dark glasses on, and we'll make love until our strength is gone. When the morning light comes streaming in, we'll get up and do it again. Get it up again. I'm gonna be a happy idiot and struggle for the legal tender, where the elves take aim and lay their claim to the heart and the soul of the spender, and believe in whatever may lie in those things that money can buy. Oh, true love Are you there? Say a prayer for the pretender who started out so young and strong, only to surrender. Say a prayer for the pretender. Are you there for the pretender? Say a prayer for the pretender. Are you there for the pretender? Are you there for the pretender?
My next song is a 21st century example of the singer-songwriter genre. One of its foremost contemporary artists, John Mayer is almost single-handedly keeping the genre alive. His first album, 2001's Room for Squares, became a huge hit, earned him a Grammy Award, and established him as a prominent artist in the new century. In 2005, he released his most successful album, Continuum, which sold over 5 million copies. It featured the song Waiting on the World to Change, an undeniable earworm that sold 3 million copies itself and earned Mayer another Grammy. The song is a political statement in which Mayer, a millennial, is trying to find his generation's place in a world stacked against them. It criticizes the Bush administration in the Iraq War, as well as the role cable news played in it. At its core, it's simply a really catchy song. Here's Waiting on the World to Change.
We're all misunderstood. They say we stand
When he was just a struggling songwriter, Neil Diamond saw a photo of John F. Kennedy's daughter Caroline with her parents on the cover of a magazine. It would take 5 years for his song about her to come together, but in June 1969 he released Sweet Caroline, a song that has become a cultural statement and played endlessly at sporting events, especially Boston Red Sox games, where it has been played at every game since 1997. Recorded in Memphis, it reached number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 and quickly went gold. It has since sold over 2 million digital downloads in the United States and has been preserved by the Library of Congress. And on her 50th birthday, Neil Diamond sang it to Caroline Kennedy. Good times never seem so good.
Where it began, I can't begin to knowing, but then I know it's growing strong. Wasn't the spring, and spring became the summer. Who'd have believed you'd come along? Hand, touching hands, reaching out, touching me, touching you. Sweet Caroline, good times never seem so good. I've been inclined to believe there never was, but now I look at the night and it don't seem so lonely. We fill it up with only two. And when I hurt, hurting runs off my shoulders. How can I hurt when holding you? Warm, touching warm, reaching out, touching me, touching you. Sweet Caroline, good times never seem so good. I've been inclined to believe there never was. No, Sweet Caroline, good times never seem so good. Sweet Caroline, I believe they never come. Sweet Caroline.
We'll take a break from the music for now to bring you some Rebel news. Ole Miss suffered a heartbreaking loss at home Saturday to California, 28-20, coming up short on a quarterback sneak play as time expired. There's a lot of controversy there, which I'll take a moment to explain. Ole Miss wide receiver Elijah Moore catches a pass at the goal line with 10 seconds to play. The referees mark him down, not inside the 1-yard line, but at the 1-yard line. Panicked, the Rebels hurry just to snap the ball for a quarterback sneak, but come up short. The referees review the call, but it stands, ending the game. There's a lot of outcry due to the fact that a Pac-12 officiating crew called the game and failed to review the Moore catch on the second-to-last play. A lot of video shows that he possibly got the ball into the end zone, but nonetheless, the fact that the play wasn't reviewed is deplorable. If reviewed, even if not deemed a touchdown, the Rebels get a chance to run an actual play, having had time to call one, and they snap the ball from very much inside the 1-yard line as opposed to on the one where it was placed. Poor job done there by the officials, and after that tough loss and facing Alabama this week, it's hard to be optimistic about the rest of the season. Matt Corral went down with a rib injury late in the fourth, and true freshman John Reese Plumlee came in and gave the Rebels a spark. So it'll be interesting to see who gets the start Saturday and the rest of the season. Mississippi media mogul Jim Barksdale has applied to be the next Ole Miss chancellor. Chairman of Barksdale Management Corporation, he served as president and CEO of Netscape Communications Corporation from 1994 to 1999, after serving as executive vice president and COO at FedEx in the 80s. The Ole Miss Honors College is named in honor of his wife, Sally McDonald Barksdale. This shakes up a race with a lot of candidates, and the IHL board is expected to name the new chancellor before 2019 is out. The new parking garage located right off the square in Oxford opens today. It will be used for parking for special events and home football games, which had caused many parking problems in past years. All access permits will be available to purchase online starting September 30th. They will be $100. Weekday permits will be sold starting at $60. An ASB investigation Thursday night overturned the results of the Miss Ole Miss race after winner Taran Carrasco was found to have committed campaign violations. Her sorority, Delta Gamma, sent flowers to other sororities, wishing them luck during recruiting, and also encouraged voting in last week's elections. Carrasco claims no knowledge of the flowers, but she was held responsible and ultimately disqualified after receiving 52% of the vote. Former Ole Miss quarterback Javon Sneed was found dead Saturday night in Austin, Texas. Police are investigating a cause. A Texas native, Sneed most notably led the Rebels to back-to-back Cotton Bowl appearances in 2008 and 2009, and an upset of number 18 LSU in Baton Rouge in 2008. Sneed had been working in Austin. And that's what you need to know for Tuesday, September 24th, 2019. Now we'll get back to the music. In 1965, after returning from a grueling tour of England, Bob Dylan considered retiring. He felt that he wasn't getting any enjoyment out of his own music. He then wrote an aggressive 10 pages of verse, which when condensed would become Like a Rolling Stone. Appearing on the album Highway 61 Revisited, which he named after the iconic highway that connects his hometown of Duluth, Minnesota, to the cultural meccas of St. Louis, Memphis, the Mississippi Delta, and New Orleans, it marked his transition from folk singer to rock star when he decided to use electric instruments and feature a backing band. Rolling Stone somewhat tongue-in-cheekily named this the number one song of all time. Here's Bob Dylan with Like a Rolling Stone.
Once upon a time you dressed so fine, threw the bumps of dime in your prime. Then you, people call, say beware doll, you're bound to fall. You thought they were all kidding you. You used to laugh about everybody that was hanging out. Now you don't talk so loud. Now you don't seem so proud about having to be scrounging your next meal. How does it feel? How does it feel to be without a home? Like a complete unknown, like a rolling stone. right, Miss Lonely, but you know you only used to get juiced in it. Nobody's ever taught you how to live out on the street, and now you're gonna have to get used to it. You say you never compromise with a mystery tramp, but now you realize he's not selling any alibis as you stare into the vacuum of his eyes and say, do you want to make a deal? How does it feel? How does it feel to be on your own with no direction home? A complete unknown, like a rolling stone. Oh, you never turned around to see the frowns on the jugglers and the clowns when they all did tricks for you. Never understood that it ain't no good. You shouldn't let other people get your kicks for you. You used to ride on a chrome horse with your diplomat, who carried on his shoulder a Siamese cat. Ain't it hard when you discover that he really wasn't where it's at? After he took from you everything he could steal. How does it feel? How does it feel to have you on your own with no direction home, like a complete unknown, like a rolling stone? Ah, princess on the steeple and all the pretty people, they all drinking, thinking that they got it made, exchanging all precious gifts. But you better take your diamond ring, you better pawn it, babe. You used to be so amused at Napoleon in rags and the language that he used. Go to him now, he calls you, you can't refuse. When you ain't got nothing, you got nothing to lose. You're invisible now, you got no secrets to conceal. How does it feel? Ah, how does it feel to be on your own with no direction home, like a complete unknown, like a rolling stone?
In 1984, things weren't going too well for Paul Simon. Sure, his reunion with Simon and Garfunkel partner Art Garfunkel had gone well, but their friendship was strained. His marriage to Carrie Fisher, yes, Princess Leia Carrie Fisher, had fallen apart, and his previous record was a commercial failure. Then, he heard a bootleg cassette tape of South African music. He made a trip there and spent 2 weeks recording with South African musicians. These recordings would become the basis of 1986 Graceland. It became his most successful album, selling a reported 16 million copies worldwide, and won the 1987 Grammy Award for Album of the Year. Its lead single, You Can Call Me Al, is midlife crisis in song form. The title derives from someone calling him Al at a party. The music video became an MTV staple as movie star Chevy Chase appears alongside Simon. This is Paul Simon singing You Can Call Me Al.
A man walks down the street, he says, why am I soft in the middle now? Why am I soft in the middle? The rest of my life is so hard. I need a photo opportunity. I want a shot at redemption. Don't want to end up a cartoon in a cartoon graveyard. Bone digger, dogs in the moonlight. Far away, my well-lit door. Mr. Beer Melon, get these mutts away from me, you know. I don't find this stuff amusing anymore. If you'll be my bodyguard, I can be your long-lost pal. I can call you Betty, Betty, when you call me, you can call me out. A man walks down the street, he says, why am I short of attention? Got a short little span of attention, and oh, my nights are so long. Where's my wife and family? What if I die here? Who'll be my role model now that my role model is gone? He ducked back down the alley with some roly-poly little bat-faced girl. All along, there were incidents and accidents, there were hints and allegations. If you'll be my bodyguard, I can be your long-lost pal. I can call you Betty, and Betty, when you call me, you can call me out, call me out.
After achieving fame with Buffalo Springfield in the late 60s and later with Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Neil Young became a successful solo artist into the 70s and 80s. In 1989, while on tour, and right after George Bush Sr.'s inauguration, he found out that the Soviet Union leg of his tour would be canceled. His guitar said, "We'll have to keep on rocking in the free world." Young used the line as the chorus for his next song and constructed lyrics criticizing the Bush administration and the United States' role in foreign affairs to fit around it. It would become one of his most successful songs, and like most songs on this list, appears on Rolling Stone's Greatest Songs list. Used incessantly in political campaigns, here's Rockin' in the Free World.
Sleeping in their shoes. There's a warning sign.
After the breakup of his band Them and the expiration of his record contract in 1966, Northern Irish singer Van Morrison hastily signed with Bang Records and flew to New York City for a 2-day recording session. He recorded 8 songs intended to be used as 4 singles. From these arose Brown Eyed Girl. Its success has been quite enduring, as it reached 10 million U.S. radio airplays in 2011 and is the most downloaded and streamed song from the 60s. It is also notable in that of songs centered around women, the distinctive trait isn't that she's blonde.
When the rains came down in the hollow, playing a new game, laughing and a running, hey, hey, skipping and a jumping in the misty morning fog with all our hearts a thumping, and you, my brown-eyed girl, and you, my girl. And whatever happened to Tuesday and so slow, going down the old man with a transistor radio, standing in the sunlight laughing, hiding high at a rainbow's wall, slipping and sliding all along the waterfall with you, my brown-eyed girl. You, my brown-eyed girl. Do you remember when we used to sing sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la, just like that. Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la- So hard to find my way now that I'm all on my own. I saw you just the other day. My, you have grown. Cast my memory back there, Lord. Sometime I'm overcome thinking about making love in the green grass behind the stadium with you, my brown-eyed girl. You, my brown-eyed girl. Do you remember when we used to sing?
Johnny Cash, who himself had had problems with the law, see amphetamine and barbiturate addiction, as well as Los Padres National Forest fire, had become intrigued with Folsom State Prison in California during his time in the Air Force. The song speaks about the experience of an inmate there and became quite popular among the incarcerated population. Many inmates wrote to Cash requesting him to perform at their prisons. His first prison performance came at Huntsville State Prison in Texas in 1957. It went quite well, and this gave him the idea to perform his hit at Folsom itself. Because of personnel changes at Columbia Records and other red tape, Cash did not get the performance greenlit until 1967 and finally performed the concert in early 1968. This turned the song and its album, At Folsom Prison, into major hits. Folsom Prison Blues became a #1 country hit and crossed over as a pop hit, and the album eventually sold 3 million copies. It also resurrected Cash's career and allowed him to have continued success until his death in 2003.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cash. I hear the train a-comin', it's rolling around a bend, and I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps dragging on. But that train keeps a-rollin' on down to San Antone. When I was just a baby, my mama told me, son, always be a good boy, don't ever play with guns. But I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. When I hear that whistle blowing, I hang my head and cry. I bet there's rich folks eating from a fancy dining car. They're probably drinking coffee and smoking big cigars. Well, I know I had it coming. I know I can't be free. But those people keep a-moving, and that's what tortures me. Well, if they freed me from this prison, if that railroad train was mine, I bet I'd move it on a little farther down the line. Far from Folsom Prison, that's where I want to stay. And I'd let that lonesome whistle blow my blues away.
The last song I'll play for you today made perhaps the greatest cultural impact of any piece of work of the 20th century. It coined the phrase, "the day the music died," giving a name to February 3rd, 1959, the day a plane carrying Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, and the Big Bopper crashed, effectively rerouting the history of rock and roll. The song has become so entrenched in our culture that different restaurants, towns, and universities stake claims for being both the spots where its author wrote it and first performed it. Don McLean's original manuscript for the song sold for $1.2 million in 2015, and he has said that the royalties from this song alone have been enough to sustain him financially for the rest of his life. At 8.5 minutes long, it is also the longest song to ever reach number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It is a textbook of symbolism in 60s culture, alluding to Elvis, Bob Dylan, the Beatles, Charles Manson, and much more. Even Madonna's awful 2000 cover has not hampered its legacy, as it continues to be lauded as one of the greatest songs of all time. So bye-bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry.
A long, long time ago, I can still remember how that music used to make me smile. And I knew if I had my chance that I could make those people dance, and maybe they'd be happy for a while. But February made me shiver with every paper I deliver. Bad news on the doorstep, I couldn't take one more step. I can't remember if I cried when I read about his widowed bride, but something touched me deep inside the day the music died. So bye-bye, Miss Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. And them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing, this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. Did you write the book of love, and do you have faith in God above? If the Bible tells you so. Do you believe in rock and roll? Can music save your mortal soul? And can you teach me how to dance real slow? Well, I know that you're in love with him, 'cause I saw you dancing in the gym. You both kicked off your shoes. Man, I dig those rhythm and blues. I was a lonely teenage bronc and buck with a pink carnation and a pickup truck, but I knew I was out of luck the day the music died. I started singing, bye, bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, and singing, this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. Now for 10 years we've been on our own, and moss grows fat on a rolling stone, but that's not how it used to be. When the jester sang for the king and queen in a coat he borrowed from James Dean, and a voice that came from you and me. Oh, and while the king was looking down, the jester stole his thorny crown. The courtroom was adjourned. No verdict was returned. And while Lennon read a book on Marx, the quartet practiced in the park, and we sang dirges in the dark the day the music died. We were singing, bye, bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, and singing, this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. Helter-skelter in the summer swelter, the birds flew off with a fallout shelter. 8 miles high and falling fast. It landed foul on the grass. The players tried for a forward pass, with the jester on the sidelines in a cast. Now the halftime air was sweet perfume, while the sergeants played a marching tune. We all got up to dance, oh, but we never got the chance, 'cause the players tried to take the field. The marching band refused to yield. Do you recall what was revealed the day the music died? We started singing, bye, bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, and singing, this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. Oh, and there we were all in one place, a generation lost in space, with no time left to start again. So come on, Jack, be nimble, Jack, be quick. Jack Flash sat on a candlestick, 'cause fire is the devil's only friend. Oh, and as I watched him on the stage, my hands were clenched in fists of rage. No angel born in hell could break that Satan's spell. And as the flames climbed high into the night, to light the sacrificial rite, I saw Satan and I asked her for some happy news, but she just smiled and turned away. I went down to the sacred store where I'd heard the music years before, but the man there said the music wouldn't play. And in the streets the children screamed, the lovers cried and the poets dreamed, but not a word was spoken. The church bells all were broken, and the three men I admire most, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, they caught the last train for the coast the day the music died. And they were singing, bye, bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. And them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing, this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. They were singing, bye, bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing, this'll be the day that I die.
Well, folks, that's all I have for you this week. You've been introduced to a few singer-songwriters and heard some awesome music along the way. Be sure to tune in next Tuesday at 2 p.m. to hear more of me, DJ CNO, on Mason Station on Rebel Radio 92.1. Until then, keep on keeping on.
WUMS, University, Oxford.